Saludos amigos, los invitamos a escuchar La Mesa Redonda, The Round Table, donde discutimos los temas del día, hablando de política, educación y otros temas, locales, regionales y mundiales, por USA la Radio. Señores seguidores de USA la Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda, desde el corazón del barrio hispano en la ciudad del amor fraternal. Les habla Fernando Mendez, Johan Bermúdez desmanejando el tablero, Iris Violeta por teléfono desde Virginia y Martin Pratt from unknown parts. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Hola.
Buenos días. Good morning. Hola.
Martin, we don't know where you are, but, so who knows?
I'm in Philadelphia.
You are? Okay.
Sí.
I don't know, because if you are in Philadelphia, I don't know why you're not here in the studio.
Well, you know, my wife had an accident, and so I need to.
This poor woman.
Yeah, she felt.
This poor woman has more accidents and illnesses. She reminds me of my grandfather when I was a little kid in school. There was a kid who was always absent. His grandfather died about 100 times.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Really, Fernando.
Wow. The most important thing is she all right?
The important thing is that she's fine. Yes. I'm sure she's okay.
She's not fine.
Amen.
Nothing wrong.
That's good.
Nothing wrong. I like to meet this.
Fine.
I would like to meet this this alien person someday, and I'm going to say, well, you have all kinds of illnesses and trouble and falls and anyway. That's according to our friend Martin Pratt. We have city and state. I sent you, but we have national news. Mayor Pete is gone. He said goodbye.
Bye, Pete. Bye.
And
I tell you
Tom
what,
Steyer also left.
Good. Yeah, well, yeah, But let
Tom
me say, Mayor Pete Buttigieg left because I guess he's expecting to get something good when 2020 comes, the elections. You know, if his party actually wins.
Well, the national...
he's probably got some promise. Yeah, you know how it is.
The national leadership
because
of the
he was
party.
on the third.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
The national leadership is asking him to go. And so he said, yes, he's a good soldier. He left, and because he knows he can come back and do something else. He can be governor, he can run for something. So...
they said, hey, you need to leave, even though you became third, but you need to leave. Yeah. And let's wait. We'll take care of you come in January.
Yeah, look,
2021.
He was getting more votes than Amy Klobuchar. And
correct.
And she's still in the race. She doesn't want to leave. And he was getting more I think in
or Elizabeth Warren.
He got more than Elizabeth Warren, but she's still in the race. She says, "I am here to stay." That's what she said.
Well, this is what I'm saying. I mean, you have to take a look you have to take a look at the business. Like, you leave now. We're going to take care of you in 2021. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. But Warren is a bit of a maverick. She's not gonna...
So is Amy Klobuchar, though. I mean, Klobuchar. So they had to sick the Black Lives Matter people on Klobuchar. You remember when they sick the Black Lives Matter on Bernie last time?
Right.
So it's the same playbook. They sick Black Lives Matter on the candidate. The candidate starts to default, and they you know, and they don't. The move is to not do Bernie. Don't pull them off the stage.
Right. Right.
Do Hillary.
Wow.
Try to do a deal behind the scenes, get to talk, and then George Soros calls you and tells you what you got to do.
You got it, man. You got it. You got it. You're in it. It is amazing how it is. And when George and Soros said you have to forget, and you tell your people to forget and forget, they have to do it. Because our brothers and sisters usually suffer of lack of memory, and they forget things very easily. Yeah,
so You're saying that the black and Hispanic folks have dementia, political dementia. That sounds like an article we need to write.
Yep.
Fernando.
Yes.
They
Do
do.
black people
They have.
and Spanish people have political dementia?
Yeah. Well, listen. What
yeah.
happened? And let me tell you one thing. What happened is that Hispanic and black people were very hard workers. Were very, very busy living our lives and making sure that our families are okay. Okay. That we don't have this time to be following stupidities out there. So we relied on the news or other people to let us know things. And naively, sometimes we do believe it. But it's not that we had dementia. It's just that we don't have the time. We have to work very hard. If we don't work, we don't eat.
What about the
we
Asian
don't have
folks,
the
though?
luxury. We don't have the luxury of having a summer off like Congress and getting paid, do we?
If we're a teacher, if we're a teacher, you do. See,
Of
Fernando.
course.
That's why Fernando was a teacher for so many years. He could have his summers off. He could travel the world
That's right.
Wow.
and pick up viruses
Yeah.
and bring them back to the U.S.
That. Yes. That.
You know
No,
what?
that
And
I
this
didn't
is
do.
why
I do something
this
that,
is
that
why-
most people should be doing right now is wash your hands constantly.
Uh-huh.
Constantly wash your hands.
and cover your mouth when
Yes.
you're coughing or sneezing.
Yes.
But listen, I was a teacher, but I left the profession very quickly. Okay, because I didn't want to live like that. How about that?
For how long do you teach? For how long do you teach?
I did it for about 5 years.
Oh, that's nothing. I did it for 35 years.
Oh no!
So-
I cannot compare myself
Look.
to you, professor.
Let's do city and state. In a whirlwind,
Yes, sir.
48 hours this week, backers of Philadelphia's first supervised injection site announced plans to open in South Philadelphia, and they were met by furious local resistance, put up those plans on hold because of that opposition, and then lost their lease. Now, the nonprofit Safe House is left to consider its next move, as are those advocating to open a site where people can use drugs under medical supervision. You know that Mayor Mendez was in favor of, he is still in favor of a safe injection site. The thing is,
Yeah, but
where you put it, and this
Not in
neighborhood,
his backyard.
yeah,
I know.
NIMBY. And no, what happened here was that the upsetting thing for the neighbors was that there was nothing, no announcements, no previous meetings, no consulting with the community. It was just like it dropped from the sky. It's like all of a sudden the news, we're opening this center. And people were
Around the
Oh yeah.
there.
That's because that's the way they do it behind closed doors. Because the people don't have the mentality. The people cannot understand. We have to do things for them. They do not understand what they need to eat. How often can they clean themselves? We have to make all these decisions
That's
for them.
the nanny
How's that?
state. The nanny state, yeah. They want to tell us everything.
But Mayor Rendell would have not liked it if they would have
No, not in South
put
Philly.
that
No, he wouldn't let that
side
happen.
behind his backyard on Chestnut Hill.
Right. Yeah,
No,
no. He
you
would
know
have
what?
said. He would have said. Rendell would have said Kensington.
Yeah,
And Rendell
well,
would have called the city council person, made a deal with the city council person. That's the difference with Kenny and Rendell. And so, although they say Kenny wants to be a governor, I have
Kenny
a hard
doesn't
time
stand a
seeing-
chance. He doesn't.
Yeah,
stand
and I have a
Yep.
hard time seeing that. But I would love to see, what I would love to see is him try to become governor and go up against the current lieutenant governor. That would be an interesting fight.
Yeah, no,
Well, he could make it if Bloomberg decides to buy Harrisburg for him. He will make it.
Oh.
No, Bloomberg.
Shots fired.
Anyway, no, right now, remember one thing: Kenny is right now for the vice president for Biden, so that's his favorite. So
Yeah,
Yeah, he's doing Biden, and then
And that's the reason
our
Biden.
other our other former mayor is doing Bloomberg.
But that's the
right.
reason Biden
But
set his
is he really
headquarters
doing
in
Bloomberg?
Philly. Uh,
Right, right.
Mhm.
He's right there next to the Graham building. I look across from him on the 15th floor. I see their
uh-huh.
office. One
Right.
day I saw the Biden sign, and I
Mm,
couldn't believe it. I was
Mhm.
like, why is that Biden sign in this big office
right.
across the street?
Mhm.
And that's where they at night. You can see them when the debate night happens.
Mhm.
They have 45 computers lined up. They're tweeting and
Yep.
doing everything.
Sure. And then Michael Nutter is doing Bloomberg. Out of the deal, Michael Nutter is doing more money.
Of course. He's making more money,
Well,
yes.
Kenny doesn't. Does Kennedy care about money? I don't think Kenny really cares about money. I think that's what his super strength is that he doesn't really care. As long as he's comfortable. He's not that guy that really wants to stack money. Michael Nutter, like you said, has to. He's broke. Almost now that he's not mayor.
What,
But
what, do
he
you-
has to
what do you say that? How do you know he's broke?
because what Illy said, black people have to work in the summer. He can't take a day off. Just because he's married, he can't take a day off. He has to. He's not married anymore. He has to work.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, maybe you have some inside info that we don't possess. Um,
Yeah, black mayors are broke. That's the input. That's the insight. If you you look at how many times the black mayor runs again,
yeah.
like Marion Barry or Sharp James in Newark, or all these guys, they keep running for stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. It's like Forrest Gump. Run, Forrest, wrong.
another segment here in City and State. On the eve of the City of Philadelphia's budget season, a new report by City Controller Rebecca Reinhardt looks at Mayor Kenny's historic spending spree and finds more questions than answers, according to the Citizen. And so I looked up a little bit of that information, and it's regarding his accountability. A couple of years ago, when it was unearthed that the city couldn't locate some 33 million, remember that? They were lost someplace
Oh yeah.
in the central bank
But did they
account,
ever find it?
and some
Did they
seven,
ever find it?
nope, seven city accounts had not even been reconciled for years, and that the crack CPAs at City Hall had committed 924 million in accounting errors. Somebody called for the dismissal.
What? 924 million?
Yes,
It's almost $1 billion.
right, in accounting errors. So somebody called for the dismissal of longtime finance director Rob Dubow on this theory. What are the chances that this egregious example of rank incompetence was one off? Like one of it happened just once. What confidence could any of us have that if we were to truly audit local government, we would find an otherwise unblemished commitment to handling taxpayer dollars as a sacred trust? Likely, right? Well, of course, the problem wasn't really Mr. Duval. It was and remains a culture of local governance that practices slipshod management and is allergic to accountability, as evidenced by the Kenny administration's response at the time. When asked if anyone would be fired over the accounting mistakes, close to $1 billion, Chief of Staff Jim Engler said, "No, that's not how we operate. Nobody will be fired."
Well,
We do not operate like that because the
No.
more
isn't that
they
Philadelphia,
feel,
though?
the better we are.
Isn't that Philadelphia's creed, though?
Man.
I feel like that's Philadelphia's creed. We don't fire you. We just put you on suspension or we discipline you.
Right.
Like nobody wants to cut somebody's job off in the city. It's a bad thing to some degree, but I also think it's one of Philadelphia's strengths is that the working person, whether whoever has a job, I think the news last week was talking about this when it came to former councilwoman Blondell. Reynolds.
Right. Right.
She has a gig with the Office of Registrar, and she's also filed for retirement.
Oh yeah, double dipping or whatever. I forgot what that's called.
Well, but she's going to retire from that office. So it looks like she took the job when the reporters asked last year what was she going to do.
She said she wouldn't do what she did. Yeah.
Right. Well, she said she wasn't clear about it.
Yeah.
And so, but the reporter stands by the report saying that she said she wasn't going to do it at all.
Right. Apparently, she found clarity.
Well, yeah, of course, because we're poor. So well, listen. You're talking about money, and when money talks, people listen. Okay, the drop program was created to help the regular city worker, and then all of a sudden, all the politicians became part of the drop system. So now, basically, a very lower salary employee in the city cannot get into the drop because you're supposed to put a lot of money out of your own paycheck into the drop. But when people get paid over $100,000, of course they could put the money over the drop. And the more money you put, the more money you get back on the drop.
Right.
Okay? But the regular worker that sits and work every day in their city job because they're civil servants and they took that as tax and whatever, and they could be good workers or they could be very bad workers, especially in the accounting department, but they don't make enough money to go into the drop. So their time passes and they don't get into the drop. Yeah. But the ones that are making the big salary are the ones that are getting all the benefits of the drop program.
Yeah, that happens. Well, listen, we're running out of time here. This is the Usa la Media, the Round Table, la Mesa Redonda. Les habla Fernando Mendez, Johan Bermúdez al tablero, Martin Pratt, Iris Violeta por teléfono. Regresamos en un momento.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
Because of you, I feel not alone in this world. And you let me know that it only takes one person to make you feel wanted.
We're back. Señoras y señores de USA la Media, la Mesa Redonda, estamos aquí de nuevo con Martin Pratt, Iris Violeta. Les habla Fernando Méndez, Johan Bermúdez al tablero. Well, people, Super Tuesday. It's a big deal. What's going to happen? What do you think? 2 people already left.
I predict.
Yeah.
I predict that Biden will get 7 states.
7? Out of how many?
14, right?
Yeah, I think it's 14. Yeah, so you think he will get half? Well, it depends which half, right? Because not all the same.
Okay.
They have different number of delegates.
Let me give you Let me give you the numbers. He will get. Let's see. He's definitely gonna. He has to get Texas. All the states with the older Black constituents and older folks in general. He won't get California because we know that Bernie has been there for almost 6 years. He's going to get Alabama. Arkansas, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Texas and Virginia.
Mhm. Mhm.
So he should end up with close to like, I think, 300 some delegates. I think that's the number.
Well,
and Sanders will probably be at 400. So nobody will have a majority.
So we are in a position which that we may arrive at a convention with nobody having a majority. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So who is in that case? Who favors that situation that having no decision by then?
Sanders.
Sanders?
I believe it would be Sanders.
I don't think so.
No.
I think it would be Bloomberg.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Bloomberg is staying behind.
Yeah.
I think it's Biden.
Martin thinks Biden. Okay, so we have three different things.
Exactly.
Who's buying dinner? The loser will buy dinner.
Well, listen, you're right. I think it's going to be the beneficial of this is going to be Sanders, and this is why the party
at the convention.
At the convention.
At the convention. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so, because look, just by numbers, if Sanders is the favorite of young people under 30 and so on, that is not the number of people who are at the convention are not the under 30 voters. So that favors more of the grown-ups that will vote for Biden, I think.
Well, what happened with Sanders is once Biden got South Carolina, it's gonna keep holding him a little bit back because now people are wondering. But do not underestimate Bernie Sanders. Do not underestimate Bernie Sanders.
I think he's going to have more delegates than Biden. What we're saying is that
I agree with you.
But he won't have enough.
When he gets to the convention, though, exactly, that's one issue. And the other issue is Sanders, what's his name? What do you call it? The campaign has stated on the record they will not accept any money from Bloomberg if he drops out. So Bloomberg's longtime friend and his campaign manager, strategist, said we wouldn't even consider Bernie or giving anything if Bernie's the nominee to support Bernie. So for my money, this is money. Right. This is about money, and so this is not necessarily. It's about the superdelegates, which Bernie is now for, which he was against before, and the superdelegates are not going to vote for Bernie because he's too scary. Right. And then he has no money. He has no war chest. He has little small donations, which helped Obama. Bernie's kind of the guy who's always behind the times. He's present enough to help the young people to get their interest and get them excited. But one of the big problems with Bernie is that he's slightly too late. So when you had small donations, Obama could do it with small donations because at that time, he was the first to really, besides Howard Dean, to do the small donations over $100 million. But now we're talking about an election that's going to cost $2 billion. Bernie can't get there with small donations. He's maybe going to get to $4. Maybe I think the most he'll raise total maybe $350. Maybe he'll get to $4. I'll give him $400 million. But when you're talking about Bloomberg, who's willing to spend $2 billion for the Democratic nominee, the Democratic Party is not going to let Bernie.
Bloomberg will give it to Biden.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, I understand what you're saying now because he already changed his mind. He said he had a blank check, and now he said that he's thinking about it. I just heard something that he's thinking about it, but one of the things that I say is that we have to keep the eyes open and never underestimate Bernie, because what's going to happen is he's not going to get the nomination. They're he's not going to get it. The superdelegate, like you said, who knows? But it's going to be, he's not going to go to the losing line quietly. He's not going to do this quietly. No. And it's something to think about it.
Well, let me tell you what's happening. Last night, my wife, I got to find a Facebook tag. There were a bunch of posts after South Carolina by the Bernie folks, not the black Bernie folks, the white Bernie folks, who decided that they should post in different places how effed up black people are for not voting for Bernie, and how at some point you got to say black voters don't matter to the Democratic Party. And so that's always been, even from 2016, he's had a problem with the white liberal racist faction who circle around him. You know, remember his rallies were huge in the northern west of the country, in Utah and Colorado. He had these huge white-only rallies. When he finally came to the East Coast, it wasn't the same rally. And black folks were looking at him side-eye. And so what's going to happen, as this starts to progress and more black and brown people come out for Biden or come out for anybody else, even if they come out for Bloomberg, those angry white guys or angry white people are going to start posting more and more stuff. And Russia has been putting bots out to try to push black people to come to Bernie. So they're going to enhance that loud voice. And so you're going to look like you could have Bernie on one side with his trolls and his Bernie bros, which are not indicative of his campaign, but it's indicative of what's happening with Russia kind of spicing up the election. And the same thing on the Trump side, where people really, Russia doesn't have to spice that up at all. That's really how Trump people feel. So it's going to be real interesting. And Trump, and this may not actually happen, Trump may tamper some of his rhetoric for black and brown people because he's opening up on the ground community centers. Trump is coming into the hood. The Trump campaign is opening up stores and I'm like, this is crazy. So Bernie, they talk a little bit. Well, Bernie starts to look like a real his people around him look like real racists. Trump tampers his rhetoric, and then you just have Biden. And so,
I want to ask you a question now. You know that George Soros put a lot of money into this, and George Soros had fleet states and done things. And what George Soros is looking forward is for a global government. And Bernie, I don't know, would he give him a global government? I don't think so, because usually when they go to the socialism, what they want is to stay there, perpetuated and independent. Trump won't give it to Soros either, a global government. So do you think then that Joe Biden will give in a global government if he's elected?
Well, what's interesting is, did you see who was at that church? You saw what happened yesterday at the church, that Bloomberg had initially said he was not going to speak to the church. He was not going to go to his church in Alabama. And after the service, they marched across the bridge where John Lewis was beat up.
Right.
And so the congregation, members of the congregation stood up and turned their backs to Bloomberg when he started to speak. Yeah. And that's primarily because that church, Bloomberg said he wasn't coming to speak. And then his people, I have often, anonymous source within the campaign of Bloomberg has told me personally that he does not like to listen. When it comes to change, Bloomberg hesitates a lot to change. So they in the campaign have been trying to get him to let the women out let them out of the non-disclosure, not NDA, to do more physical outreach to black community. And Bloomberg just wants to throw money at it. He does not want to. So initially he wasn't coming. And when you go back to George Soros, I really feel that Soros and Bloomberg are in the same boat. Not the same. They're not for the same reason, but I mean, they're in the same boat where they throw money at things. To me, George Soros folks are now in the Bernie camp. I have a guy, I'm not going to say his name, but he's a really close friend of mine, and he has a lot of pull here in Philadelphia. But he's amongst the black Muslims, the radicals, the MOVE people. He's amongst those folks. He is a Bernie ride or die person, and he is against George Soros. He believes the same thing you just said. So it's really interesting the who has come together to support Bernie is kind of the same type of people that came together to support Trump. You had neo-Nazis sitting there with super ultra conservatives sitting there with evangelicals sitting there. It's a weird, kind of coming together because my friend who's a conspiracy theorist and really, really believes George Soros is trying to take over the world is sitting next to the person who is from Black Lives Matter, who's been sponsored by George Soros. So it's like, it's really, or is it sponsored by the Open Society Foundation? I won't say George Soros. They've been sponsored by Open Society. So I don't know. I think that George Soros, he might be, like most billionaires do, they hedge their bets, or like Israel does. Israel supports a Republican, they support a Democrat. So I don't know.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that, and it's puzzling. Like,
So
there is no
the money
history to go backwards into it. The money.
The money is coming to Sanders. Then that's going to help Sanders.
Right? You think it's going to help?
Because Martin says Sanders has no money, really. So he probably needs Soros, and there we are.
Well, I don't think he has no money. I just think that he can't. Not
enough to compete. Not enough to compete.
Right. Not enough to make the $2 billion mark.
And
I think
the problem so far has been that so the last debate was a bloody event for him. I mean, he was hurt by the attacks by his fellow Democratic candidates. People think that Bloomberg didn't do well, but I think Bernie suffered more than that because the other people were attacking all his main ideas, especially like Mayor Pete, you might recall, very efficiently and destroy some of his main proposals, education and healthcare and so on. That motivated Frank Bruni, a columnist for the New York Times, to publish a column. That's almost 5-6 days ago. He says, if I were Trump, I would turn that whole thing into a campaign commercial and blanket the airwaves. Its tagline would be, even Democrats don't trust Bernie Sanders. Why should you? And I think that speaks volumes about what happened at that event, that debate. And
wow,
I don't understand why Sanders has survived so far with these loony ideas that he has about spending trillions of dollars.
Well, because of the Democratic Party, they let him piggyback on them. He's not a Democratic person. He is an independent.
In 1975, he's a communist.
Yeah, but the party
he went to USSR for a honeymoon.
So why is he what he is?
He's a Marxist.
Why is he what he is then?
It is the Democratic Party.
He's bringing young people to the party. So what Obama did to stab Hillary in the back was he refused to give up his database, and instead supposedly they destroyed their database. I mean, they actually got rid of all those names, which I don't believe. But anyway, when
I don't believe it either.
When Hillary wanted to get some help, they went to the Obama campaign and they was like, "Oh, we got rid of that database." He didn't give it to DNC and he didn't give it to Hillary, and so the DNC has a problem with young people. So Bernie is bringing young people to the party, registering to vote. So that's why they're letting it happen. It is the Democratic Party, but they have been letting him ride on their back for a long, long time. Even before like
that.
Joe Lieberman.
Even
Why
before that.
Lieberman stay? Yeah, they let Joe Lieberman stay so long. It's ridiculous.
Correct.
Bullshit. I'm sorry.
Great.
Yep.
Now you're off the air, Martin.
But that's all right.
I'm so passionate.
People.
Sorry.
The passion came out. He's the Latin in him, okay? But the thing is that they're going to have a rude awakening. And I have the feeling that tomorrow we're going to see a few things. Tomorrow is Super Tuesday, and let's see where everything will go. Our predictions and stuff like that.
Well, I think Klobuchar is almost done. We know that for a fact. We know Klobuchar is almost done.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. She doesn't want to say it, but she hasn't been offered anything good.
By Friday, she's going to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that this
Friday or Saturday.
Super Tuesday. We have to talk after Super Tuesday. I like to see what we're going to have to discuss.
Let's do it.
This because that's going to change. That's going to change everything. Look. Look at just over the weekend how much the whole landscape changed with Steyer and Buttigieg gone. And all of a sudden, there's more of a focus on what is left there, who's competing. The same article by Bruni in the New York Times said that a few of the candidates make clear that they don't merely see Sanders as a less than ideal adversary for Trump. They see him as political suicide, and that's pretty much what Buttigieg and Klobuchar were saying. I mean, you put this guy against Trump, we're done. The Democratic Party is gone because he will destroy him.
Well, I also think a real thing is that older people who remember what the Depression was like, who remember their parents, talk about the Depression and all that stuff, they're not gonna vote for Sanders. The people who are over 50 are not voting for Sanders. That's just the way it is. And honestly, there's not enough kids to help Sanders.
Well, that brings up something that Iris and I have discussed before, and is the lack of information, the lack of knowledge of our young people about what it means, what socialism is, what communism is, all these Marxist ideas that look great on paper and are not practical. They're not a good way to govern any country.
No.
Correct.
Amen.
And
preach, brother, preach.
Listen, and there is a good section of our young people that are very into what they want to do. They have set up what I call the mapping for the life, so they're into their thing. So they are the ones that said, to get to F, I have to go to A, B, C, D. I cannot be jumping to A to H and then go back. And those are the people that they haven't been really brainwashed in a way. Those are the people that really know what they need to do and they get informed. And these are our extremely high professionals. And I'm talking about the kids that are going into careers like medical career, scientists. I'm not talking about lawyers and stuff like that. They usually go more into humanities, and then they get all these philosophies, and some of them get lost. But the ones that are really working hard and they have their setup, their map for their life, they know.
Well, people, we reached the end of this segment here in USA La Media, La Mesa Redonda. Les habla Fernando Mendez. Iris Violeta, Martin Pratt on the phone, and Johan Bermudez here on the board. Regresamos en un momento.
I came out in the 11th grade. Nobody was embracing you. The kids were cruel. It was very difficult to be gay. Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. And even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. I have a mentor, Maria, and she convinced me to continue my education. Just never judges. She's a true role model.
From the depths of my heart, I thank you, Maria, for being a friend and a beautiful person. No one receives a diploma alone, and I'm honored to share this moment with you. Thank you.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Our hearts are made stronger by how we treat others.
Put her there.
The light you share can impact those around you, but so can the darkness.
Later, twerps! Did Pete saying mean things bother you?
So when you reach out to another person, take a moment to consider how they will feel and let your heart be the key to making a difference. Because of you, someone's entire day, year, or even life can change.
In every heart, there's hope.
Señoras y señores de USA La Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con la mesa redonda de Round Table desde el corazón de Barrio Hispano en la ciudad del amor fraternal. Les habla Fernando Mendez, Johan Bermúdez al tablero, Martin Pratt and Iris Violeta on the phone. And the conversation got heated here about Mr. Sanders and who's going to survive this Super Tuesday. Okay, I need one prediction. Who else will drop out after Super Tuesday? We need people to drop out. So, who will drop out? I don't know. I think. Let me see. I think who dropped out? I think is my two co-hosts because I don't hear them. Martin Pratt is gone. Iris Violeta is gone. I think that they lost their connection. So. I wanted to discuss with them, if we get them back, the coronavirus and how the political spin from the White House made it worse. The virulent germ that we now call the Spanish flu happened to strike at a diabolical moment in the history of politics and propaganda. The previous spring, in April of 1917, the U.S. entered the First World War, and President Woodrow Wilson launched a dubious campaign to shore up popular support and suppress criticism. We're talking about the Spanish flu here, people. That because the comparison to how the government tried to suppress the bad news because it was not convenient for the people to know the truth. Well, we're in that position right now with what Mr. Trump is doing, because he thought he was going to talk his way out of this. Remember what he said initially? This will be gone by April, as though it will disappear in a puff of smoke. That's ridiculous. But he doesn't want to hear this because it sounds pessimistic. The market is suffering, and Mr. Trump thinks that's going to affect his election, his re-election. And we know that is true because one of the main legs that is holding up his re-election is the economy.
Mm-hmm. I'm back.
Well, go ahead, Edie.
I'm back. I just heard this morning that the market was up again.
Yes, it's up again, and China's coming back. But here's the thing that's interesting. Do you see what Fox Poll had about Trump? They had Trump losing to everybody. They had Trump losing to Biden by 8 points. They had Trump losing to Sanders by 6 points. So Trump tweeted out on Thursday, I think it was, or Wednesday last week, that the Fox needs to get a new polling company. But this is the same company that had the exact same numbers of him losing to the popular vote, to Hillary.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know that it is not the popular vote that elects the president. So here we go. And if we go into electing a president by the popular vote, then a big state will be the one that will mandate how we will live, who will be the president. So it is like, you know, how they put you against the wall.
Right.
So I don't know.
Well, as I was saying, this whole thing with the government trying to doctor the information that we received about this virus is very dangerous. Very dangerous for Mr. Trump to try to use this politically because
the virus is dangerous for everyone.
We should be listening to the scientists. We should be listening to the scientists.
I don't agree. I do not agree. I think that
you don't want to listen to the scientists. You listen to Mr. Trump then.
Well, no, I don't think it's dangerous to Trump. I don't agree it's dangerous to Trump. You know why?
Mm-hmm.
You want to hear why?
Mm-hmm.
There was a Trump person whose daughter used to be the spokesperson for Trump that tweeted out over the weekend that Trump could suck out the virus from anybody that has a virus. So it's not dangerous to Trump because Trump can touch a person who has coronavirus and suck it out.
Wow. Well, the thing is,
Fernando?
that the coronavirus.
Look, I'm going to read.
Coronavirus.
Yeah.
La corona.
The crown.
It's very dangerous, but so far it hasn't killed as many people as the regular
Not according
flu.
to Mike Huckabee. Huckabee says Trump he's
he can heal people. Yes.
Yes. Right.
Well, let me read you briefly.
So we should all pray to Trump.
Let me read you briefly. John M. Barry wrote in a detailed history of the pandemic that was called the Great Influenza. A Navy ship carried the virus to Philadelphia, and sailors started dying. But the city's public health director, a political appointee named Wilmer Cruzen, dismissed the whole thing as old-fashioned influenza or grip, and la gripa. So this is what happens when the government tries to control the information. Look what apparently the people in Washington, the state of Washington, there are 2 people who already died, and they may have been walking around with this virus for who knows how long, but they were not identified properly. And that is happening probably around the country. There are people walking around who already have contact
and they
with
don't know.
Those people. They have no idea.
And they don't know they did. They don't have any idea because actually, let me tell you one thing. Actually, there's a lot of traveling in and out. People are lying when they started questioning people where you have been here or there. And people have been, instead of saying the truth, they have been lying because they don't want to get involved and be sent away to wait a little bit. So they have to be cautious with that. People are being not honest about it. There is some infections in a nursing home in Washington State.
There's also one in New York, in Manhattan, too.
But here's
There's
the
one
thing.
in Manhattan, too.
Yeah, I mean, very few people can hide really where they came from. That's why your passport is stamped. And that's why people are, and usually the immigration people are at the door checking who is coming in, and they most know where the flight is coming from. If it's coming from China,
but they just started
or
now, though,
Iran or whatever.
They just started doing it now.
Yeah, but
it just started
2 weeks ago.
But they should be able
to.
They should be able to control it.
Yep.
But it didn't happen.
They just began to do it now. That's the key point,
right,
Martin. They just began to do it now.
Yeah, in New York.
So it is.
Yeah, in New York and in Los Angeles, they have they gave initially false answers to that. They declared that the whole thing was that we were ready and so on, and yet now New York has the first case. New York City has the first case, according to the Governor Cuomo announced.
Correct.
And so who knows how many people were in contact with the person in New York who has that. So now we're talking hundreds of people probably.
Especially the mass transit there, how it is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't go.
That's a city that doesn't sleep.
Don't go to New York. Don't fall asleep in New York anyway. I don't know. This may kill a few people before we get through this.
I think it's people that particularly have a weaker immune system. So we know it's really killing people in their 70s.
Right.
So that's one issue.
Okay.
Another issue is that we do have a warming that's coming. Now, it's not super warm, so the virus still can survive. But I think we're going to get to probably 67, 70s by next month.
Yeah.
We're going to have a very hot summer.
So you are,
so I think,
you are with Mr. Trump. You are predicting with Mr. Trump that this will go away.
No, I'm not with Mr. Trump. I'm not believing that that's what. I believe that it's going to be
Oh
Well,
my
now,
God!
wait.
I think you and Iris
Now
are
you got
two secret Trumpists.
You got me all worried now because I'm already 70.
Right. And what it is, stay in Virginia. Don't come up here. But what we have is the local, what they're doing is, which is kind of interesting, they're approving the local colleges to do the testing. Because we only had 100 or 400 or 500 people tested. By now, we should have had 30,000 or 60,000 tested. And so that's a big issue that we do not have. The CDC can't handle all the testing. So now that they're sparsing it out to local colleges, it should really ramp up. So if they weren't doing that, then I would be where you are, Fernando, where they're saying, it's going to be a bunch of people. I think we're going to skate by just barely because we're going to ramp up the college science departments, and everybody has been really pushing bio investments, so biotech investments. But you have most of the big cities have a really good lab. Like in New York, there's actually a CDC level lab at Columbia that's underground, where they work with Ebola, they work with all that. And the community, I know this because I protested against them opening it. But at this point, we do know that most cities that are major cities have a decent bio lab that can do these tests and probably can help with the treatment.
Well, let the scientists try to control this, and not Mr. Trump and not his compinches. In China, the initial problem in China was that they did not want to hear what this doctor had to say, the one who started to sound the alarm. He should be famous. Li Wenliang, this doctor who drew attention to the new disease, and they criticized him for spreading rumors. And then he died from the virus, and the government censored.
He helped treat people.
They censored everything about his death, even. So it's dangerous when the government tries to control
He should be given an award, a statue in China. They need to name a street after him. They need to make sure his family is well taken care of. No, they should, and I think they will.
Yeah, you keep dreaming.
Because China is starting to look like China, even though they missed that initially, they're starting to look like they are smart and how they have handled it, how quick they got it to where it's controlled. It could have been a lot worse for them. It could be in tens of thousands.
Martin, here is something that goes against what you just said. Even weeks after the virus emerged and started to spread, the local government in China, in Wuhan, ordered news organizations to suppress the information, allowed an estimated 5 million people to leave the city before it was placed under quarantine on January 22nd. So Iran also tried to do a similar thing to control the news about it, and until it spread beyond what they could do. One of the ministers just died in Iran. So that's the problem. They cannot hide it when one of the high-profile people begin to die. So I only have in mind one high-profile person to die in this country from that virus, but probably not. So I don't know.
I'm going to get off the radio right now because I don't want it to be. I don't want the Secret Service coming to my house. Bye, Elise. Have a good
show.
I'll talk to you I'll talk to you Wednesday
after
Tuesday.
Chicken.
Yes, I'll be safe.
Mundo. Be good. Be good.
I disavow. I do not. That is not my viewpoint. Whoever's listening, I do not subscribe to whatever Fernando was alluding to.
Fernando. I
do not live near Fernando.
Oh boy!
I tell you, he's gonna be like, who was the comedian that showed Trump's face mask? I can't think of Kathy Griffin.
Yeah.
You don't want to be Kathy Griffin.
Yeah. What happened?
You do not want to be Kathy Griffin.
What happened to her?
No. She tried to. She did this bad joke about Trump getting killed.
No. I wasn't. I was just saying about the contagion spreading south from Philadelphia.
No.
Okay, Fernando. Okay.
Oh. Bad boy. And guess
And
what? You're on
I
tape.
hope Johan, if Fernando doesn't make it to the studio Wednesday, give me a call. I can definitely make it for Thursday and Friday.
yeah. Anyway,
Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay,
anyway.
ay.
But now,
I hope you have your I hope you have your citizen papers together, Fernando.
Yeah.
Ice is coming. Ice is coming.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah. Well,
Mi
ICE has been
gente.
coming here for a long time. Um, th- I don't know. For now, they seem to be quiet because of it's election time. I don't think that the immigration people
Yeah,
are gonna.
they have been kind of quiet. They have been kind of quiet.
Yeah, I think they don't want to make noise now because it's time to vote, and they
Right. They don't want to show no more Spanish kids in cages. That's not what they want to do.
Oh, that's for sure. And
Oh, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, everybody is being very quiet. Everybody's been suppressing their feelings and
Just
putting
like
a happy
Al Sharpton.
face.
Where's Al
Correct.
Sharpton at? Where's Jesse Jackson? I mean, I know Jesse Jackson has what's her name, but where's Sharpton at? Nobody is. You'll have it here from none of the typical rabble rousings. They're very quiet. I guess Bloomberg paid all of them off.
well, I saw
Yes, sir.
I saw the Reverend Sharpton recently. I mean,
What
maybe,
church? Why do you call him Reverend? What church? He has no church.
Well, that's his title. I respect
His name
titles.
is
He
Mr.
has the
Sharpton.
title.
That's all.
Huh?
That's all.
No,
His name is Mr. Sharpton.
They
That's it.
always introduce him as Reverend Sharpton. So he must be so is Jesse Jackson a reverend, isn't he?
Oh God!
Yeah?
Just stop. Just stop.
Well, just because you don't respect the clergy, that's all. Anyway,
No,
No,
So,
I don't think he like. I don't think he likes people with titles.
Okay,
These titles and titles.
people, I need something
we got to
very
talk before we
clear.
get off the air about the Asians in California. Who
Yeah.
are the Asians going to vote for tomorrow? Sanders or Biden? What's anybody's thoughts?
Who wins tomorrow in California? Biden. What do
The
you
Asian
think?
vote? Biden's going to do good in California with the Asian vote? I don't think so.
I don't know.
No.
Well, anyway, so here we go. We came to the end of this show already. People,
man.
Wait, I want to hear Illy's.
In California, it's gonna be a split. They're gonna split so much that it's gonna be hard to tell who won.
Okay, we have to go now.
Who really won?
Thank you.
All right,
bye-bye.
sir.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Hemos llegado al final de
Úrsula.
esta edición de nuestro programa La Mesa Redonda de Round Table. Se despide usted Fernando Mendez, Johan Bermúdez al tablero, Martin Pratt, Iris Violeta on the phone. Hasta la próxima.